All right, well, welcome to the No Rules podcast yet again. It's September 27th, we're recording here. Aaron Hilton, as always, here with my man Malik Smith.
What's good?
On to our more central topic that we have for today. And last week we talked a little bit about branding and how branding kind of can shape the way that you're perceived in the world. But now let's take that a little bit further here and talk about legacy. Let's talk about what it means to create a legacy. How do you build a legacy, and what kind of legacy do you leave, and do you have any say in said legacy? First of all, just wanna again rest in peace to Jose Fernandez. Gone way too soon. 24 years old. This kid defected from Cuba on his, I think, third or fourth attempt in 2007 at age 15 years old. Jumped into the water. I think one of the stories, he jumped into the water to save his mom and she fell off the boat. Just a heroic kid, big heart, big kid, big arm, great talent. Made it to the major leagues at just 20 years old. Infectious smile.
I mean, he was a really. He's the type of dude that could light up a room, light up your TV when you're watching. Like, you just noticed him pitching. Noticed him always just having fun. It's definitely sad. When I remember when I saw the notification on Sunday, it struck me. I'm like, I just saw this guy pitch, not too long ago. And I remember, I think it was, they played Atlanta. Somebody threw at his head, and I remember him getting really fired up. And he was just like, I got a family to take care of.
Over his head, all the way back to the screen. Fernandez heads out toward the mound. Flowers gets in front of him. And now Fernandez is saying, don't throw at my head. Don't throw at my head. And I don't blame him. And now the two sides will break up.
That was the first thing I thought of when I saw that he passed. And it's just a really, really sad occurrence whenever, somebody who's young and just a likable person like him passes really, really early in their life. And, condolences to his family, condolences to his teammates, all the people that know him really well.
On Monday, when they commemorated him, team all wearing Fernandez jerseys.
On the night that he was
supposed to pitch, Dee Gordon, one of his closest friends on the team, and one of the people that looked to be the most struck by this, aside from obviously Fernandez's family and closest friends, but probably the most struck by that on the team. He goes into the batter's box wearing a helmet with the number 16 on it to commemorate Fernandez, who bats from the right side. Dee Gordon, naturally a lefty. He takes a pitch, mimicking to his best of his abilities Fernandez's batting style. And then he goes over to the left side, takes another pitch, and then on a 2-0 pitch.
Gordon to right. It's deep. And it's gone! Dee Gordon has hit it out!
That loves sports, I mean, even if you don't love sports, that right there, that just shows you the power that sports can have. And even though, people say, well, does God really have a place in sports and this, that, and the third, but it's one of those things you can't explain it.
No, that was pure emotion, just like carrying the team. I mean, the entire game, I heard somebody say this is one of those games where from start to finish who's going to win that game. You just knew that the Marlins were going to win that game against the Mets. The emotion that all those players felt, and Dee Gordon was feeling it the most. I mean, he was tearing up during the ceremony, pregame ceremony. He teared up, rounding the bases after he hit the home run. You could see how much that he really, really cared about his friend. And to me, it's a special moment. It's a moment that I'll definitely remember for probably the rest of my life because, you just don't see that all the time. You don't see people be that raw and that emotional and that vulnerable while playing a sport that demands you to be so locked in and, manly and macho, to have that kind of emotion and to see that kind of emotion and to see a team win that way, it's amazing.
Yeah, and for a guy that doesn't have any kids himself, I think he said, it's probably the greatest moment in his life and one of the more important moments in his life and especially in his professional career, and hard to argue when you see things like that. Another thing this kind of harkens me back to, and to the point of legacy, where this player really, like, not that he needed to prove anything else, but where he really cemented the rest of the legacy, where he became forever etched in stone as 34/Big Papi. David Ortiz in 2013, that speech that he gave following the Boston Marathon bombings.
This jersey that we wear today, it doesn't say Red Sox. It say Boston. We want to thank you, Mayor Menino, Governor Patrick, the whole police department for the great job that they did this past week. This is our fucking city. And nobody gonna dictate our freedom. Stay strong. Thank you.
I mean, nobody but Big Papi could be
right,
exactly
exactly.
like that, man. That's live on television.
Definitely.
But that was really, for me, the moment where he cemented his legacy. And I think that goes to show, like, two different guys, two different stages of career. One in Fernandez, who was just getting his career started, and then another one in David Ortiz just years ago, who was looking towards the end of his career, and this year being his final year. That's probably among the three, and hopefully, with including this year, maybe even fourth World Series that he delivered to this city, reversing the curse and everything that he's done for Boston. That moment in 2013 where he stood in front of those fans and gave that entire fan base and a lot of New England the strength to kind of move on and say, I know this is baseball is a very little part of what we do for you guys, but whatever we can do, that team did. They lifted them up, and I watched that team carry that emotion in a team that no one expected to do anything, go on to win that World Series with nothing but grit and grind, and that's definitely something that reminds me of what happened here with Fernandez and with Dee Gordon's home run. To another athlete that died, again, another one towards the end of his time on the earth here, Arnold Palmer, the King, who
legendary,
who passed away as well over the weekend, and that guy, was it 7 majors that he had, 6 of them coming in the 60s, really the face of golf.
When you get a drink named after you, that's when you know.
A drink. And a delicious drink. It wasn't like a
drink.
This wasn't.
How did nobody think to mix iced tea and lemonade prior to that? That's what I would.
Yeah, I feel like the world was slacking.
Maybe somebody did, and he was just like, "I'm gonna steal this."
Maybe his one of his friends made that drink, and it was like he just did it when the camera was.
Yeah, for sure. But no, I mean, Arnold Palmer is, obviously one of the greatest golfers of all time. Like I said, if you get a drink named after you, people know you for that too.
Not only that, an Arizona iced tea. They got the whole Arizona iced tea.
But they switched it up though, because now it's like fat free, so it doesn't taste as good.
Yeah,
it's like
the 0 calorie.
It's not popping. But I mean, I still respect Arnold Palmer.
Yeah.
It's weird, It's always after you pass. It seems like people always have these great things to say about you. I mean, you saw it with Fernandez recently. You see with Palmer over the weekend, with Ali over the summer. Right. Of course, once you pass, everybody just has great things to say about you and all the things that you've done in your career, and they go back and look. And I think in some ways it's really good for people to go back and realize how much you've done over the span of your life,
right,
whether it be in sports or out of sports. That's a lot of times that's the good thing that comes out of the unfortunate thing that happens to all of us eventually, which is that you die. So
right.
For Mr. Palmer, I think it's good that people get a chance to go back and see how great he was.
People tend to remember fondly upon the dead out of respect, but I think in both of these cases, both Arnold Palmer and Jose Fernandez, I think their good outweighed the bad regardless of how you wanted to remember them. And I think the things that they did, I was just watching the His and Hers television show today on ESPN2, and they had Max Bretos, who's of Cuban descent on there,
Yep.
talking about what it meant for him. You know, when he grew up, it was guys just like Louis Tiant, and there was a couple others that he mentioned as well. That's all that they really have. But when a guy like Fernandez came over, he was young, he was vibrant, like you said. He smiled, and not for nothing, you know, learned the language. So there was no barrier. I think when you look at a guy with star power like Yoenis Cespedes and players like that, there is that language barrier that they create. And I think the thing that a guy like Ortiz understood early, the thing that a guy like Manny Ramirez had for him when he was really going at his best, and the thing that Fernandez had when he was still with us was the fact that there was no language barrier. You know, you have a question, and we can answer it in English because, you know, we want to be accessible to not just the fans back in Cuba or in our Spanish-speaking countries that revere us as heroes, but we want to be known on an international level and really bring awareness and tell our own stories and be our own people. And I think that's very important.
We talk about him being young, but I think his legacy, it appears to me that his legacy is going to be somebody who kind of embodies that idea of what the American dream could be. You know, coming over from Cuba, living the dream, you know, playing professional sports, and not just the fame and the money, but just doing something that you really love. You could tell that he loved what he did, you know, playing baseball, and just not really letting anything get in the way, not letting obstacles get in the way, whether it be language barrier or physical distance or not being able to see your family. You know what I mean? Like the first couple of years that he was here, he wasn't able to see his grandmother. She was, you know, famously like told the story about how she would go up to the roof to listen to his games on the radio, and then finally she came over to the States. I mean, everything about this guy was just positive, you know, and I think that's going to be his legacy. His legacy is going to be a legacy of just positivity and hope, and the idea that you really can do anything that you set your mind to. He totally embodied that, in my opinion.
Another person that passed recently is named Bill Nunn, who many people know as Radio Raheem from Do the Right Thing.
First the power. First the power. 20 de-energizers.
20 C-energizers?
D, not C, D.
C-energizers?
D, motherfucker, D! Learn to speak English first, all right? D!
You know, just in that alone, you know, me having to look his name up because the legacy he created for himself was Radio Raheem. Like, you know, it's like when you look at a guy like you know, when a guy like Jaleel White dies, is he anything other than? I mean, I'm not trying to kill him, but you know what I mean. Like when a guy like that passes on, like you obviously to your family and to those who know you best, you are still Jaleel White, and you have to remember that
I think he'll be remembered as Steve Urkel, and that's what I mean.
And Stephon. Well, I don't know.
Do the Right Thing is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Absolutely. Rosie Perez.
And Bill Nunn playing Radio Raheem. I read something that he even said, like, at the time, I think he wasn't the young character that he was portraying.
Right.
But forever, he will always be remembered as this young guy who, you know, was so vibrant and just in your face, you know, the love-hate with the ring.
That's the hype.
Newest, latest. Let me tell you the story of right hand, left hand. It's a tale of good and evil.
Everything about him just, you know, was just so commanding, and even in the way that his character in the movie ends up dying, speaks to a time period that we see that happening so often now.
Fuck off, man! Get the rock! Get the rock! Take him down! Just take it down! Get off! Just take him down! That's never to kill him! You're killing him! Give it up, asshole! Give it up! Just take him down! Come on! Give it up! Get his arm! Gary, that's enough! Gary, that's enough, man! Gary, that's enough! Shut the fuck up! Radio Raheem! Radio Raheem! No! Radio Raheem! Radio Raheem! Get the fuck out, boy, dead! Get up, asshole! They Get up, asshole!
Get up! Get the fuck up!
Let's get him out of here.
There's so many parallels that you can draw, and I mean, obviously that's not the only movie that he's done. He's done a lot of movies. He's always like, when you see him in a movie, I always felt like, oh man, I love this guy. You know what I mean? Like whenever I saw a movie, he was in the first Spider-Man.
Yeah,
like he played.
He was in all 3 Spider-Mans.
Was he in all 3?
All
oh
3.
Yeah. Because he worked for the Daily Bugle. Like every time I saw him in, I was just like, oh man, I love this dude.
Robbie Robertson.
What I mean? So, you know, it is unfortunate. You know, he passed. I believe he had cancer.
Yeah.
Spike Lee had a nice tribute. You know, they both went to Morehouse, which I didn't know.
Did not know that.
So, you know, shout out to
HBCUs, man.
But yeah, you know, it's unfortunate, and for him, I think, like we said, as much as you don't want somebody's legacy to be one particular character,
right? I
think Radio Raheem, for a lot of people who grew up in those type of areas, people who just love black characters, I think he is going to be that remembered character that everybody's going to love. And, you know, D, motherfucker, D. You know what I mean? Everything about it was just, how about we get some black faces on these walls? You know what I mean? Like, it was just, everything about it was just so cool with the stereo. Yeah, man. R.I.P. to Bill Nye. He was one of the best. I love to hear it. I love it.
So many people we've had to say bye to. A colleague of ours also, Don Saunders. So it's a lot of people that we've had to say goodbye to, especially this year. But that this legacy will live on through the people who have stories of them, through their family members, through people who just seen them and have one story, one thing that they can harken back to that reminds them of a fonder time when they were still with us and they were still affecting our lives, and they still, you know, I think in their own way continue to do so. That brings me to my next question about legacy for you is, do you think that you get to decide your legacy? Like, can you shape your own legacy?
Absolutely.
And if so, does that cheapen it, or?
No, not at all. I mean, it's somewhat of a philosophical question.
Right.
I believe that everybody controls their own destiny. And even if you don't control everything that happens to you, you control your response to it. So from that standpoint, I think that everybody controls their legacy. Sports is a very weird but useful tool when it comes to, you know, showing how the landscape of life really works. You know what I mean? Because sports is essentially, you either win or you lose. You know, that's how you notch everything up. What you did when you played, it's either won or loss in every sport that you can think of. And how you deal with wins and how you deal with losses, I think, contributes to your legacy. But how you translate that to life, you know, Muhammad Ali's legacy outside of the ring overshadowed his legacy inside of the ring. You know, and even if you look at people who, you know, even if you haven't, I'm talking about people that have passed, people that just retired this year, you know what I mean? Like Kobe's legacy, you know, who recently retired. KG's legacy, who recently retired.
Yeah.
Tim Duncan's legacy. I mean, some of their legacies were built, you know, on the court or, you know, in their playing field, and some of them were built outside of that. But I mean, I think they all had their own hand in deciding what their legacy was. You write your own legacy. Like, nobody else can say what your legacy is. You get a chance to decide. Now, whether they respect it or not, that's up to them.
Right.
But you will get a chance to decide what it is. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, no, I actually wholeheartedly agree. I believe that you can change your legacy. You can kind of nudge it in certain directions. I don't think that you can completely change your perception, but I think that your imprint, the thing that you leave, the mark that you leave on this earth, I think for the most part, you do choose what you do. Now, you don't get to choose how people take it. You know, at the time when guys like Muhammad Ali and Jim Brown were protesting and things like that, and Muhammad Ali was not going to go to war and do Vietnam or whatever, and things that he said about the Viet Cong.
My conscience won't let me go shoot my brother or some darker people or some poor, hungry people in the mud for big, powerful America and shoot them for what? They never called me nigger. They never lynched me. They never put no dogs on me. They never robbed me of my nationality, raped and killed my mother and father. What, I'm going to shoot them for what? How can I go shoot them? Them little poor little black people, little babies and children and women. How can I shoot them poor people? Just take me to jail.
At the time, those things were not thought of as heroic or patriotic things to say, or you know, representative of Black Power. There was a great many folks who believed in you know, not to say that Colin Kaepernick is like Muhammad Ali, but a lot like what Kaepernick is going through right now. You know, who knows what's going to be said 15, 20 years down the line if these things ever do come to a head and we do ever, you know, find some reconciliation for this. But, you know, people hated Muhammad Ali for that just the same way that people hate Colin Kaepernick for kneeling and starting this trend of kneeling and sitting down for the national anthem. And I think that if you would ask Muhammad Ali or anybody that knew him best if he would do it all over again and do it the same way, I think that he would. And I don't think that he really cared what people were going to say at the time, because for him, he was standing up for what is right. And I think he doesn't, at the time, you can't really know that eventually people are going to catch up to your forward way of thinking, and people are going to find the right in the quote-unquote wrong that you're doing right now as they perceive it. So to that end, I don't think you can really predict the future. I think all you can do is just go based off of what you believe and what you believe to be right, and trust that the decisions that you're making today, you know, don't be afraid to make those mistakes. Every now and then you might make a mistake. You know, there might be something that you do that you're
maybe not even a mistake. I mean, I think especially when in regards to what Colin's doing. I mean, I don't think anything that he's done has been a mistake. I think he's done everything the right way. Everything he's done has been with respect, professional, you know, humble.
And going to that Oakland high school was amazing. That was really awesome.
Exactly.
That
went
was
to the school,
awesome.
took a knee while the high school players laid on their backs with their hands in the air. I mean, that's a powerful image, and he's what he's done is he's gotten people to really think about more than just I'm a athlete and my only impact is on the field. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think this will undoubtedly end up being what his legacy is, regardless of what he does. I mean, he could take the Niners to the Super Bowl this year, and I don't think that would outweigh everything that he's done with his protest of police brutality and disenfranchisement of African American and minorities, because it's just been such a huge impact. You know what I mean? Just the impact has been huge.
I don't want people out here saying like, "What, Colin Kaepernick?" I don't think he's the modern day Muhammad Ali. I don't think anybody can do that. But I do believe that he's being the face of this movement of athletes. Not only, you know, for so many years people want more out of their athletes, and he takes those types of perspectives and instead he turns them on their head. He is a well-spoken black man. Those do exist. He is, you know, biracial. He doesn't, I don't believe, really know his parents, although maybe he's very...
He knows his mom.
Yeah, he knows his mom, but, you know, he wasn't raised... Yeah, he wasn't raised by his biological parents. He was adopted, and yet he still chooses to do the hard thing, which is be that voice, be that person who is like, I'm going to take it upon me to use my platform to do something different, to do something that I think can create change. And I think that a collective of people like him, people like, you know, the LeBron Jameses and the Dwayne Wades, you know, when Miami did that protest for Trayvon Martin, when they had, you know, the black hoodies on and things like that, and the whole team took pictures, including Chris Birdman Anderson, who was a white guy, and all the other people on that staff and on that team took pictures in the black hoodies, and you couldn't tell who was who, black from white. You know, those types of things, wearing those shooting shirts that said, you know, I can't breathe. The Indiana Fever in their first round playoff game took a knee during the national anthem. Seattle Seahawks locking arms as a team have the same effect as what someone like Muhammad Ali has done. And I think that Colin Kaepernick being the leader of that has really made, like you said, he has etched his legacy in stone. And whether you want to put him in the Hall of Fame or not, whether you want to say whatever his skills are as a quarterback or not, this is bigger than football. But he's using football, which is the only vehicle that he has right now to get this word out. Because if you're not going to listen to the thousands of people who are marching and who are, you know, meeting the DeRay McKessons, you know, the people of the world who are out here trying to spread this word and spread this knowledge. And the videos that keep coming out, the stuff keeps happening. Since the protests, the stuff still happens. People are still getting shot and killed.
Yeah.
All over the place. Black and white. Minority and majority. And for these things to continue to happen and for people to still not be able to be held accountable for that kind of thing, that is the issues that he's talking about. And I think that if we are to see any kind of social change, I think that he along with many other people, will be at the forefront of it. And I think he's all the better off for it.
I agree. Definitely.
As we wrap it up here, Malik, what do you want your legacy to be, man? If you have one thing that people can just kind of point to, like, man, my man Shabazz really, held it down.
I mean, it's tough because I feel like selfishly you want to be remembered as this person. You want people to be like, oh yeah, 100 years from now, like, oh, my name's in a book somewhere, this or that. As fine and great as all of that sounds, I think I'd much rather be remembered by people closest to me, my family, as somebody who was just always reliable, always did what I said I was going to do, man of my words type of person. To me, that integrity for me I feel like is more important than a lot of the fame and accolades and stuff like that. That type of stuff to me is somewhat fleeting. And some people say, well, isn't integrity fleeting? Because after a while, nobody's going to remember that you were, had great integrity. But if the people that knew me while I was alive remember that, I'm good with that. I think if that was my legacy, then I'm fine with that.
That's pretty dope, man.
Modest, but,
No, I mean, I feel you. Everybody.
Also, I want $1 million. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to flex on you.
Yeah. No, for real. I do want to flex. I would
love
to have some financial
I would like to flex with integrity.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? If my bank account was going to have a pretty big legacy, that would be awesome. I'm not going to turn down that.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Turn down my colleague.
Yeah, because Colin Kaepernick is still kneeling during the national anthem, but he's also making 11 M's. So, I mean, I'd like that legacy as well. But, no, I mean, for myself, the same thing. I kind of, if I can inspire one person to just unapologetically be them, I think for so long when I was growing up, like we had touched on briefly a few moments ago, just being called the white black guy,
right.
Talk white, or whatever. You're really really tall, but you're not in the NBA. Tall for nothing.
Did you play ball, yo?
I'm saying,
yeah, you hoop?
No, everywhere.
Yo.
Oh my God, should I know you? Are you in the NBA? He's like, yes, that's exactly why I'm wearing this Old Navy fleece.
That's why I'm here with you, fam.
You know what I'm saying?
That's why I'm right here. Because I ball.
Because me and LeBron James shop at Old Navy.
You got me. Yeah.
No, but to the legacy thing, it's just it came a point in my life where I decided that I had to be myself. Period. I spent too much time trying to be somebody that I'm not, trying to portray a certain image or sound a certain way, act a certain way, do a certain thing. And it was almost like it was afraid to be me, and it showed. It shows when you're fake, and I don't like to be that way. So now, for better or for worse, I'm unapologetically me. I think, I have just as many people in my corner as I do have in the other corner cursing my name, but
it's half and half.
Yeah, it's half and half. You're not gonna be able to please everybody. You can't please everybody. You know what I mean? I hate Tom Brady, but I also at the same time think he's the best quarterback of all time. You can be two things. But at the same time, I think if I can encourage or influence one person to do that, and at the same time, still maintain my integrity and leave my mark on the world as someone who, when you get to know me, you get to know me. You don't get to know my representative. That's all I want. That's all I want, to be able to leave for this earth. So if I can do that.
You know what our legacy should be? Our legacy should be this podcast.
You know what your legacy should not be? Your fucking hot takes. Because those shits are trash. If we were doing legacies by hot takes, son, your shit would be garbage. God damn. That.
Oh, man. On that note.
Yeah. On that note, man, I appreciate you guys for rocking with us. It's been another week of the No Rules podcast. We'll see y'all next week.
Deuces.